Hey guys, excuse me. Hey guys, your boy M.G.O.S. It's your boy M.G.O.S here again. I've been planning to make this video for quite a while. Excuse me. It's now just after 1 in the morning here in the UK. So I've left it quite late. Fortunately, it's probably procrastinating too much or for whatever reason. So that where there's the time going and all that. But anyway, I should have been a bit more active, I suppose. But better late than never, I suppose they say. I did want to do it on Thursday, really, but I did have quite a restful day. Kind of, I made a few videos. Didn't really do any writing or anything, but I hope tomorrow I'll be much more active in terms of getting writing done as well, and also planning out my videos a bit better. But I did have a lot of fun talking about the town football and Celtic and things like that. So, anywho, this is my dreams for supporting African tech. I know at the moment, as I keep mentioning, I'm mainly focusing on Asia, but for any of my existing viewers or subs or whatever, but for any other new subscribers or viewers or people who stumble across this, obviously it'll be different. But anyway, sorry, I'm going to try to stop waffling. So here are my dreams for African tech. Number one, I dream for African tech to become the number one, Africa to become the number one place for tech. And I've talked before in the past about why I dream for Africa to become number one for tech. Because black people have been underrepresented in tech, and especially probably black women, and so that's why I want to support Africa in technology. And I think although they're sort of doing some great projects, I think they've been behind for quite a while. So I hope to make videos like this and donate any profit that I can towards giving PCs, laptops, and mobile phones and things like that towards the African development of African tech, and any training material, which I hope to come to. But as I've talked before about, like, when they pay taxes, it can go back in towards this, towards developing tech. Whereas, say, a black, British, or African American person who does well in tech, the tax money they get will go towards the country where they live, and that could mean it goes towards things like the Iraq War or things like that, rather than developing African tech. So, as well as encouraging Africans to be united through tech as well, that's another thing. And so hopefully, avoiding conflict and working together towards a shared goal. So for all 54 African countries and all approximately 1 billion people, obviously, I imagine Afrikaners or Boers or some of the white separatists who live in South Africa, for instance, possibly one or two who live in other parts of Africa might not wish to be part of it. But other than that, I hope to unite the rest of the continent. Even black and Arabic people, possibly using, like, say for instance, using the fact that Arabic people are called names just like black people, just like people say the N-word, they call Arabs, a lot of time people call the Arabs sand and then the N-word. So that could be something that bonds them together. So Arabs and Africans to improve and the rest of Africa to improve their relations. So it can go from southern to northern Africa, and I dream for, like, Central Africa to be like a central hub which unites the rest of Africa together, so they can come together and avoid all the conflicts between different tribes or different religious groups like Christians and Muslims, and somehow just work together in spite of religious or tribal differences. That's my dream, anyway. That's one of my dreams. And secondly, on that note, again, for Africans to teach each other about tech, and for people like mentors or teachers, like they can be Teach for African Tech, Mentor for African Tech, and things like that. That's mentor, not mentor. Hopefully people got that. Mentor, not mentor, just to make that clear. And yeah, basically teach people to teach African people about tech, people across Africa. I know there are already projects to do that, so I hope to bring them together, maybe make one massive, or everyone who works in African tech or Friends of Africa, to support African tech together. Three, I hope for people in the West to get, like, say for instance, people get rid of PCs, laptops, and things like that because they're old, or they get a faster one, or things like that. A lot of people already do projects like this, I know, where they keep things that are old and revamp them, but hopefully they'll send as many of those laptops and PCs. I dream for everyone in Africa to have a PC or a laptop, or each, or as many as possible, and to work together and also teach each other stuff, and do fundraising like YouTube videos like this, and if they make money, I donate a certain amount, a percentage of that profit towards the development of African tech and that sort of thing. Excuse me. Excuse me. Number 4, again, I hope for it to make peace across Africa if they work together towards that shared goal, rather than going to, obviously it could stop wars, and instead they work together on technology and towards that shared goal. And also when other countries, which I've talked before about, when they come into Africa, I think all the African leaders should come together and say, if you want access to the minerals, the land, trade, and all the other thing, you have to train up. So at least 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever number they choose between them of people in technology. So when Russia, China, India, Japan, and all those other countries, like I've talked before about Japan and game making as well, because they can bring their expertise and train the African people so that they have skills for the future, so they don't miss out whilst making use of their resources and things like that, or whilst other people have advantage of their access to their markets as well. And I especially hope, as an anti-imperialist, to build networks between Africa and Asia, and also people of colour. I think it'd be great if we lobbied so that our taxes don't go towards things like wars, or weapons trade, or military-industrial complex, or royal families, or things like that here in Europe or America, but they actually go towards people in places like Africa. Excuse me. To things like towards the developing of their tech and things like that. 5, I hope to support Africa in other areas as well, but mainly in tech. Again, I hope to support them also in politics, science, and if Africa and Asia work together, it's not just that Asia will help them just in tech, but they could help each other, in terms of politically and at the UN and when they vote on issues and all sorts of things. But in science, and they could work together in science and engineering and maths and all those other areas. But as I said before, I think Asians have already been quite represented in tech, so I have this dream and goal that helps me to push towards working for this goal. 6, I hope for big tech companies to be able to get tax breaks for investing in Africa, or even all the taxes that tech companies pay could go towards investing. That money, instead of having to pay taxes, could go towards investing in Africa. So let's say Microsoft have a tax bill of 100 million, let's say, over a certain period of time. They can put that 100 million, instead of paying, or whatever taxes all the tech companies pay, instead of putting it into tax, it goes towards aid for development of Africa, but it's specifically targeted to train especially girls in Africa in tech. And I hope for Africa to reach its full potential in terms of technology, and again to network together friends of Africa and everyone who wants to support Africa to have that specific goal in technology. 7, I hope for YouTubers, especially from Africa, or people who sometimes they might make specific videos like this, and any money I make from this in the future, as long as I get enough to live on, any money I make like this from this video, or videos like it that include African tech in the title or whatever, could go towards the development of tech in Africa. Just generally, Africans could give a certain percentage of their profits, or people could donate a certain amount of money, direct debits and things like that, towards African tech. And I hope God blesses African tech. Number 8, people who are against white supremacy in the far right could invest in African tech. It could be a way of challenging supremacy and extremism, and those who hate people of colour, especially black people. And I hope for my fellow mixed race people and other people of colour as well, as I say, and for Asians to train up, for Asians around the world to mentor and tutor and teach, train up and all that, people from Africa, and to improve those relations and all that sort of thing. And maybe people who are against things, groups like, might be a strange sort of way to fight or challenge things like the Ku Klux Klan or any neo-Nazi group around the world. Talking about the fact that it's VE Day, which is Victory in Europe Day, it's probably quite an apt time to I don't know if I would have covered that point anyway, but I think that would be a good way to challenge white supremacy, hopefully. Number 9, I hope for Africans to prioritise tech, and to look at how they can train up their youth and things like that. Number 10, again, training up the youth. And I hope for Africans to invest, for African nations or African countries to invest 10% of their GDP, possibly, or the wealth of their nation, whatever, however you measure it, into training up, especially the youth, but people of all ages, and giving everyone PCs and laptops and all that. So then it goes towards training and training people in technology, and also like tourism money from African tourism and charities, philanthropists, and N.G.O.s, and encouraging the aid money that goes towards Africa to go towards African tech. So and even like the giving pledge, which I hope to come to, and as I say, the aid money that goes there can be targeted, so that will help in terms of tech. Anyway, I think this video has gone on for long enough, so if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Please support this channel as much as you can. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much, and hope you look out for part 2 and 3.